The movie starts off with a major competition scene. There are people cheering and dancing to see the winner. The competition is being held in St. Teresa, which is a very expensive and prestigious school. All the students are selected through a rigorous process. The competition is being held for the Student of the Year title and trophy. It's a very honorable prize and two rivals fight tooth and nail to win it. But these two were once best of friends. Let's find out why they became such enemies. The story starts with the dean of the school, whose name is Yogendra Vashistha. He was a very happy and encouraging dean who always supported his students. But something happened in that specific competition which caused him to resign. After 25 years of serving the school, he left and settled in a place where absolutely no one could find him. The one cheerful dean became very sullen and depressed. He lived alone in a huge mansion with massive guilt in his heart. The guilt was regarding the two best friends turned enemies. He secretly thought he was responsible for it. 10 years have passed since that incident. At present, a man sleeps peacefully in his bed. His name is Pseudo and was one of the students of St. Teresa. He gets a call from one of his old school friends saying that the dean is very ill, and that he wishes to see some of his most beloved students. Pseudo is shocked and agrees to visit the dean. He calls all of his other school friends to give them the news. They all agree to visit the dean in what might very well be his last days. It's been 10 years since they all graduated and since the great incident at school. Everyone has moved on with their lives and are married now. All of the students pack their bags and leave to visit the dean. All of them want answers as to what exactly happened 10 years ago. They all reach the hospital and the air gets tense. They start talking to each other and reliving their memories. Even their sports teacher, Coach Shah, comes to visit the dean. He tells them that after their batch, the dean was devastated and resigned. He had started to feel guilty for all the ruined friendships and relationships caused due to the intense competition at St. Teresa. Since their batch was the last, he reminisced their memories the most. That's why he asked to see all of them during his last moments, in an attempt to beg for forgiveness and resolve all of their disagreements. The dean mostly remembered Abhi and Rohan, the two best friends who had become each other's arch-nemesis. Dean Vashistha thought he was the cause of their sour relationship, even though they both now have achieved massive accomplishments. He wanted to see them the most. The students look at Dean Vashistha's condition and are heartbroken. The students start reliving all their memories and a huge flashback starts. We go back 10 years, when all the students are at their prime. Among them is Rohan Nanda, who is the most popular jock at school. His father is a multimillionaire business tycoon and basically owns their whole school. He wants to become a musician and is really reckless. He always does what he wants because there's no one to stop him. Rohan is very good looking as well, so he has all the girls swooning for him. But he has his heart set on one girl, and that is Shania. Shania and Rohan are the power couple of St. Teresa, since they're both very popular and come from extremely rich families. Shania is a spoiled brat but also the most beautiful girl in their school. Just like Rohan, every boy at St. Teresa wants Shania. But even after all this, Shania is very neglected at home. Her stepfather doesn't like her and her mom doesn't care about her at all. She goes to her family party but gets ignored by all her family members. This hurts her a lot. She then joins Shruti, who is her best friend. Shruti loves Shania and always wants the best for her. She doesn't approve of Shania and Rohan's relationship, since Rohan keeps flirting with multiple girls. When Shania asks Shruti about Rohan, she points to him flirting with Tanya. Tanya wants Rohan all for herself and can go to any lengths to make him her boyfriend. Tanya and Rohan cling to each other, which makes Shania very uncomfortable. She walks up to Rohan, which immediately stuns him. He lets go of Tanya and pretends as if nothing is happening. Tanya keeps taunting Shania, so she pours wine all over her clothes. Tanya screams out and Rohan runs after Shania. Shania warns Rohan that she'll break up with him if he flirts with other girls again, and storms out of the party. St. Teresa is a world of its own and all of its students are either extremely intelligent or extremely rich. Dean Vashistha loves his school. He's a very jolly and classy person. He's single and has a huge crush on Coach Shah. Rohan and Shania are the talks of the town, but that's when Abhi comes in. As soon as he enters the school, the dynamics change. Abhi is a very charismatic and hot guy. All the girls start fawning for him. As he walks towards the school, everyone stares at him. Not just that, he's very intelligent and ambitious. He got into the school through a scholarship since his family isn't financially stable. Rohan and Shania don't like Abhi and glare at him. Each and every girl at the school wants to get with Abhi, and Rohan starts getting less attention. Abhi is good at studies and at sports as well, so Rohan tries to sabotage him. Even Shania starts to notice him, which infuriates Rohan further. Rohan and Abhi start getting competitive with each other, which turns into rivalry. One morning, Abhi parks his bike at Rohan's spot. All the students warn him to stay away from Rohan, but Abhi doesn't care. Just then Rohan comes with his minion, Jeet. They warn Abhi to get his bike out of the way, but Abhi doesn't listen. Rohan starts to make fun of Abhi and hands him his car keys and money to park it. Jeet calls Abhi a peasant and they walk away. Abhi smirks and patiently takes the money and keys. He drives it around and swerves it left and right. The expensive car gets really dirty. Furious, Rohan threatens Abhi, but Abhi just hands Rohan his keys and money back, asking him to clean it. This causes a huge fight between the two and they're sent to the dean's office. Dean Vashistha yells at them to act disciplined. He forces the two to shake hands and dismisses them. As he is drinking tea, Coach Shah comes in and Dean Vashistha freaks out. Coach Shah rushes to help him and the dean gets lost in his eyes. He's so captivated by the coach that no words escape his lips. The coach leaves the room soon after. The school is getting ready for a huge assembly. Ashok Nanda, Rohan's father and a massive trustee of the school, is coming to give a speech. As Abhi is walking in the main hall, Pseudo comes up to him and thanks him for standing up to Rohan. Smiles and sits right beside Rohan and Shania. Everyone is shocked since the seat is usually reserved only for rich and popular kids. Dean Vashistha starts speaking on the podium and announces the commencement of the Student of the Year competition. The dean started it 25 years ago and it's now become a crucial tradition at St. Teresa. The winner of this competition is directly sponsored by the school into major Ivy League colleges. He invites Ashok Nanda to the podium and everyone cheers. Everyone is happy except Rohan since he has a very bad relationship with his father. Ashok wants Rohan to walk in his footsteps and become a successful businessman. This has caused a rift between them since Rohan wants to become a musician. Ashok gets on stage and gives an impressive speech. Abhi and Shruti listen in with interest while Rohan starts listening to music, as he's heard the same speech multiple times. After the speech, Abhi gets called on by Coach Shah to try out for their sports team. Abhi readily agrees and goes to the field immediately. There, Rohan seems to be the captain of the team. Rohan and Abhi become really competitive in the game as well. Rohan wants to teach Abhi a lesson since everyone is really impressed with him. He tells Jeet to go get the keys for the school notice board. Jeet does as told, while Rohan congratulates Abhi for such a great game. Abhi thanks him but they soon start to get sassy with one another. Rohan then warns Abhi to stay back since he's the king of the college. He threatens him to stay quiet and just study. Abhi just laughs at him and tries to walk away. But Rohan furiously tells him that he's going to regret this attitude really soon. Abhi still doesn't care. While leaving, Rohan tells him to check the notice board on his way out. Abhi reads the notice hung there, which asks all the sports students to bring in their urine samples for a medical examination. Abhi thinks it's really weird but does it anyway. He hands the sample to Dimpy, Coach Shah's assistant. Rohan and Jeet giggle as they watch Dimpy take the urine and walk away. On his way to the coach, Rohan and Jeet stop Dimpy and insert a mysterious note along with the urine sample. Dimpy doesn't notice that and just goes to the coach. In the morning, Coach Shah sees the package at his doorstep. He reads the note attached to it which says the liquid inside the bottle is actually holy water. Coach Shah thinks that is true and sprinkles the urine onto his whole house. He hands the urine bottle to his son, telling him that it is holy water. But his son smells it and recognizes it as pee. The coach is furious and asks Abhi if he actually did it or if he was framed. Abhi knows that Rohan did it but he stays silent. He says he did it instead and the coach tells him to run 50 laps of the field. Abhi does so without question. Dimpy even offers to lie saying he ran if Abhi gives him money but Abhi denies. Rohan sees Abhi work so hard for a mistake he didn't even do and feels guilty. He goes up to Abhi and thanks him for not framing them. He even apologizes for the mistake and Abhi forgives him. Abhi tells Rohan that he's lucky to have such a great inspirational father but unbeknownst to him, Rohan feels the opposite. Rohan teases him saying he should have been born to Ashok instead of him. Abhi asks why he's so bitter about his father but Rohan just brushes it off. He doesn't want to talk about it and Abhi understands that quickly. Rohan mocks Abhi for being such a devout son. He just smiles and says that his parents died long ago. This makes Rohan really sad and guilty. Abhi says it's okay and this is how their friendship starts. Rohan invites Abhi to sit with him at lunch and Abhi readily agrees. In the meantime, Shania runs into Tanya. The air gets really tense as Tanya tries to tease Shania by saying that she's the head cheerleader this year. She goes on to say that she got the position since she's the most popular girl in school. Shania shuts her down really quickly by saying she doesn't have to run around with pom-poms to get attention. Tanya gets really pissed as she says that and Shania walks away smirking. At lunch, Shania arrives at the canteen and everyone looks at her. This catches Abhi's attention as well. Rohan is also mesmerized by her. All the girls want to be her and all the boys want her. Abhi stares at her with keen interest. Tanya gets really jealous and rolls her eyes while Rohan and Abhi dance around with Shania. Shania asks Rohan why he isn't flirting with the other girls, to which Rohan just apologizes and says that he won't ever do that again. Shruti mocks him saying he just likes the popularity of being Shania's boyfriend. Rohan just laughs while Shania talks to Abhi for the first time. The break ends and Shania and Shruti go back to class. Before heading to class, Shruti asks Rohan to beware since he has a competition now. Abhi just smiles at that but Rohan gets jealous. He tells Abhi to not even think about Shania since she's his long-term girlfriend. The two part ways during the weekend and life becomes completely upside down. At Rohan's home, he can't even see his father eye to eye. Rohan's brother is a successful businessman just like his father, which increases the pressure even more. He hates being compared to his brother but that is basically inevitable at home. Whenever Rohan tries to talk about business, Ashok just laughs at him and says he doesn't have the brains for it. His brother sides with his father too and Rohan becomes the joke of the family. This causes fights between them all the time. Only his mother consoles him which is why Rohan hates coming home from school. Jeet's family urges him to never stop being Rohan's minion, since it brings them lots of benefits. At Shania's house, her parents just talk to each other and completely ignore her. Shrudi's father also forces her to always befriend Shania, but Shrudi hates that, since she has no interest in knowing how rich Shania is. They're just best friends because they love each other. Abhi's life is also not as it seems. Since he's an orphan, he gets treated really badly by his uncle and aunt. Only his grandmother takes care of him. Meanwhile, Tanya and her mother always gossip about Shania. They're basically obsessed with her. Her mother even encourages her to seduce Rohan and date him. Pseudo, on the other hand, wants to win the Student of the Year award so that he can prove himself and make his family proud. He wants to be known as something other than the token fat guy. The weekend ends soon and Abhi and Rohan are at practice. Coach Shah shouts at them to play properly, when suddenly the dean comes behind him and massages his shoulders. The coach doesn't say anything thinking it's Dimpy, but he backs away as soon as he realizes it's Dean Vashistha. He apologizes for not knowing sooner, but the dean doesn't care. He starts flirting with the coach and gets angry when the coach brings up his wife. He tries anything and everything to get Coach Shah's attention but fails. In the end, Dean Vashistha tells Coach Shah that they have to win the inter-school football match this year. It's extremely crucial since the Dean of St. Lawrence, their rival school, always makes fun of Dean Vashistha for having such a lousy team. St. Lawrence has been winning the inter-school match consecutively for the past 25 years, and Dean Vashistha has had enough. Coach Shah promises to do his best. The dean walks away happily while Coach Shah announces the next captain of the football team. Everyone expects it to be Rohan, but the coach chooses Jeet instead. He chooses Jeet so that Rohan and Abhi have no enmity between them, and play with all their might. The day of the match arrives and everyone is pumped. The rival school's dean makes fun of Dean Vashistha, but he ignores it. The match starts and everyone starts cheering. It seems St. Lawrence is going to win again. St. Teresa is disappointed, but slowly things start to change. After halftime, all the players start to play with full offense instead of defense. Rohan and Abhi both score a goal. Much to everyone's shock, St. Teresa wins this time due to Rohan and Abhi's team play. Dean Vashistha and all of St. Teresa celebrate ecstatically. Abhi deliberately let Rohan go so that they could be friends, and that's exactly what happened. Abhi and Rohan get closer and closer. The two become the best of friends within such a short span of time. Rohan even brings Abhi to stay the night at his massive estate. Abhi meets Ashok Nanda as well, and as soon as Ashok sees Abhi, he becomes immensely impressed. Abhi tells Ashok that they've won the football match all because of Rohan, but Ashok doesn't believe that. He just taunts Rohan to do something greater and not become a joke. He challenges Rohan to win the Student of the Year trophy, and Rohan agrees. He does all this just to get his father's love and attention. On the other hand, Abhi is exactly like Ashok. Their ambitions and personalities are very similar, which is why Ashok dotes over Abhi. He appreciates and encourages Abhi as he has a lot of potential. Rohan is angered by this but doesn't say anything. When Ashok asks Abhi about his career, Abhi simply replies that he wants to be even greater than Ashok himself. Ashok loves Abhi's confidence. He then invites Abhi to join during his business meetings. Abhi readily agrees but also notices how harshly Rohan got treated. That's when Rohan promises his dad that he might not be able to be a better businessman than Ashok, but he'll surely be a better father. Abhi consoles Rohan and even apologizes for Ashok's behavior towards the both of them. Rohan just brushes it off and they go to a club. They party there and dance the night away. They get fully wasted by the end of the night. Afterwards, they go for a ride around the city and have fun. As they spend more and more time together, Rohan and Abhi become inseparable. They spend every passing second together. One time, Rohan, Abhi, Shania, Tanya, and most of their friends go to a club to party. There, Rohan and Tanya can't get their hands off of each other. This really hurts Shania and she walks away. Abhi notices this and follows her. He consoles her and even tries to get Rohan to treat her right. Every time Rohan gets drunk or Abhi helps him sober up. One fine morning, Abhi sees Ashok and his family having breakfast. The weekend is about to end, so he joins them. Ashok happily lets him join while mocking Rohan for practicing his music early in the morning. Rohan's brother, Ajay, and Ashok continue criticizing him while his mother stays silent and doesn't utter a single word. Ajay is getting married soon, so Ashok invites Abhi to the wedding as well. Abhi thanks him for the invitation and promises to come. Rohan joins them soon after, but Ajay and Ashok ignore him and walk away. The wedding season commences and all of Rohan's friends along with the dean and coach's family join it. They travel to Thailand in Ashok's private jet. All of them are greeted cordially by the staff as soon as they land at the venue. There, the dean can't stop flirting with the coach in front of his wife, while Tanya can't seem to stop clinging to Rohan. Shania is incredibly irritated by Tanya and insults her all she can. All of the attendees get settled soon and go to the beach to have fun. Rohan and his friends play volleyball while the dean continues to ogle Coach Shah. At the beach, Tanya follows Rohan everywhere he goes and even Rohan flirts with her. Tanya even goes as far as to give Rohan a sensual massage. This breaks the camel's back for Shania and she decides to confront them. But instead of supporting her, Rohan yells at her for being so insecure in front of everyone. Tears stream down Shania's eyes as she walks away from Rohan. Abhi feels really bad and goes to her. Shania asks Abhi to leave her alone, but he stays nonetheless. He tells her that he's there to make sure she's okay and even hands her a towel to wipe her face. That's when Shania confesses that she's fed up with Rohan and his constant flirting. She adds that they've been together for 4 years, but still Rohan has no respect for her boundaries. Abhi asks her to dump him, but Shania retorts saying she doesn't like to break relationships. That's when Abhi tells her to give Rohan a taste of his medicine. Since Rohan flirts with everyone, Abhi asks Shania to flirt with random boys as well. Shania contemplates for a while and ultimately agrees with the idea. The wedding celebrations begin and Shania dresses up in magnificent attire. Rohan and Tanya are shocked to see her while Abhi is impressed. Shania ignores Rohan the whole time. Rohan tries to talk to her, but she instead goes to Abhi. The two become partners and dance together. Rohan joins in as well, but Shania pays more attention to Abhi. Meanwhile, the dean keeps his eyes on Coach Shah and gets jealous when he sees the coach happy with his wife. Rohan and Abhi both dance alongside Shania. Shania deliberately gets clingy with Abhi to make Rohan jealous, but Abhi tells her to use her tactics somewhere else, as he doesn't want to ruin his friendship with Rohan. But Shania doesn't listen and continues to pull Abhi closer and closer to her. Rohan notices this and gets really uncomfortable. Abhi tries to push Shania away, but to no avail. In the end, Abhi pulls Shania away to stop him, but Shania begs him to help her. She wants to show Rohan what he's missing by getting with his best friend. Shania says since Abhi is close to Rohan, he won't even try to take her advantage, and Rohan will also learn his lesson really early on. Shania urges Abhi to be friends with her and Abhi agrees. He asks her what the plan is. She intends to do all the things that Tanya does to Rohan. The next day, Shania dresses up in a really hot attire on the beach. Rohan expects her to talk to him, but instead, Shania sits down next to Abhi and clings onto him. This makes Rohan furious. She starts massaging Abhi sensually while Rohan just glares at them. Consumed with jealousy, Tanya tries to do the same with Rohan. But Tanya gets really aggressive, so Rohan just pushes her away. He gets incredibly frustrated to see Abhi and Shania enjoy themselves. Angry, Rohan just walks away and Abhi and Shania celebrate their victory. But unbeknownst to Shania, Abhi actually starts falling for her. At the beach, Rohan notices the two of them staring deep into each other's eyes and storms off once again. Shania compliments Abhi for his acting, but little does she know, it's not acting anymore. He stares at her whenever she goes. Every day, Rohan notices Shania getting closer to Abhi. He can't stand it anymore, so he confronts Abhi about it. But Abhi just brushes him off, saying the relationship isn't even serious. This infuriates Rohan, and that's when Abhi confesses that this was all a plan to show Rohan Shania's importance and charisma. Abhi tells him that Shania is one of a kind and that losing her would be a big mistake. He asks Rohan to love and cherish her. Rohan realizes this and thanks Abhi for the advice. He vows to treat her right. Rohan apologizes to Shania for all his mistakes and Shania forgives him. Finally, on the day of the wedding, Shania approaches Abhi, and that's when he realizes how much he truly loves her. He helps her get ready and tells her that she looks absolutely ready. From then on, he keeps one of her earrings as a keepsake. Rohan, on the other hand, envies the relationship Ajay has with his father. But as soon as he sees Shania, he smiles cheerfully. Shania just rolls her eyes at him. That's when she sees Abhi and pulls him closer to her. Rohan comes there right then and takes her away with him. Abhi soon realizes that Shania will never be his and that he should have never fallen for her. He is happy for Rohan and Shania, but also hurting. The wedding ends and everybody goes back to their normal lives. We're back to the present where Tanya, Shruti, Sudo, and Jeet are taking care of the dean. Right then, another figure appears and it's none other than Rohan. Tanya is ecstatic to see him. She hugs him tightly and Jeet greets him happily as well. Rohan checks on everyone and hugs them all after so long. Coach Shah comes and hugs him with love. Rohan is a famous rock star now. His dreams have finally come true. Rohan then goes to visit Dean Vashistha. The flashback starts again. One day, as Shruti is walking down the hallway, she sees Abhi staring at Shania longingly. Shania is with Rohan and they're having fun. Shruti realizes Abhi's feelings for Shania and decides to show Shania that Abhi is better than Rohan. She walks up to Shania and tells her that Abhi likes her, but Shania doesn't believe that. She tells Shruti about the plan, and even adds that it's because of Abhi that Rohan and she are so happy together. But with the way Shruti told her about Abhi, Shania starts to think that maybe he really does like her. She decides to talk to Abhi about it. She approaches him and tries to thank him, but he just brushes her off. Shania is shocked to see Abhi act so cold toward her. That's when she realizes that Shruti was in fact telling the truth, and asks him directly if he has feelings for her. Abhi agrees that he does, but also adds that he knows his limits. He continues by saying that the only thing important to him is his career, and the Student of the Year trophy. Abhi then tells Shania that he might have lost his track, but now he sees this path. With that, he walks away. The school year slowly passes with time. One day, Dean Vashistha finally announces that the Student of the Year competition has officially started. Everyone is enthusiastic and pumped to win it. The dean declares that the competition is divided into 3 parts, namely the treasure hunt, the dance competition, and finally the triathlon. The 3 stages are meant to test the students' overall capabilities. The competition will officially begin with an IQ test to eliminate most of the students, so that only the ones with true enthusiasm can participate in it. All the aspirants study day and night to pass the IQ test. Everyone gets incredibly competitive and works really hard to stay in the competition. After the intervention, Shania and Abhi usually avoid each other and only talk to each other if it's really important. Abhi still has feelings for Shania, but he tries his hardest to ignore them and focus solely on the competition. Shania and Rohan's relationship increases greatly, but Abhi can't stand it, so he always tries to distract himself. Finally, the IQ test starts, and all the students begin working on the test. Some people get all the questions right while some of them cheat through it all. The results of the IQ test come in and only 16 people are selected. Shania, Tanya, Jeet, Sudo, Shruti, Abhi, and Rohan all pass it and celebrate happily. Jeet even ends up scoring the highest. After this, all 16 students are given the opportunity to participate in the upcoming stages of the competition. The whole gang sits together after the celebration and decides what to do next. It is evident that both Rohan and Abhi are ready to go to any lengths in order to win the competition. Shania tells them that there shouldn't be any competition among them as they're all really close, but Shruti counters by saying that in order to succeed, everyone must become competitive. This was the first time a rift was created among them all. After this, everyone gets really tense and the air gets awkward. Soon enough, the next round begins. The treasure hunt starts with 4 groups. The one to get to the treasure first with the help of the clues given will win the hunt. Rohan, Tanya, Shruti, and Sudo are in one group, whereas Abhi, Shania, and Jeet are in the other. They've been created in such a way that the best of friends are compelled to play against one another. The hunt begins and all the teams start to read the clues given. Rohan and Abhi's team get their clues right really quickly. Both groups run toward their next clue. They get closer and closer to the main treasure. Shania and Shruti both use their brains and end up getting their teams to the final clue. It's a very close competition between the 2 teams. Both of them read the final clue and start working on it. They predict and guess multiple times but end up with the wrong answer. Between all this, the competition starts to take a huge toll on their friendship. Everyone comes at each other's throats. Finally, Rohan and Abhi both end up figuring out the correct answer at the same time. They run towards their goal together. In the end, Abhi's team wins the treasure hunt. Rohan feels disheartened but also happy for Abhi and Shania. After the treasure hunt, only 12 players are left in the competition. They're all promoted to the dance competition, which will further narrow down the number of competitors. All of the contestants are supposed to bring a dance partner with them. Later, Rohan congratulates Abhi for winning the treasure hunt and asks to celebrate. He tells Abhi that he wants to join his family for dinner. Abhi is hesitant at first since his uncle and aunt are really mean, but agrees nonetheless. Even though Abhi is fully competitive, Rohan still values their friendship more. At dinner that night, Rohan chats with Abhi's grandma cheerily. His aunt and uncle aren't happy with another member joining in, but since it's Rohan, they don't say anything. Instead, they act very politely as Rohan is really popular and rich. This still doesn't stop Abhi's aunt from making really snarky comments about Abhi. Rohan steps in between and defends him from all the mean comments, which shut them all down really quick. That's when Abhi realizes that Rohan has a heart of gold and that this friendship actually means a lot to him. After dinner, Abhi thanks Rohan for standing up to him. Rohan just smiles and tells Abhi to stop hiding his emotions. They both tear up for a while and promise to always be there for each other. Just as Rohan is about to leave, Abhi's uncle starts shouting for them. Come to find out, Abhi's grandma has passed out. She's completely unconscious, which makes Abhi panic. They quickly rush her to the hospital and Abhi makes sure he doesn't leave her even for a second. But then, his aunt kicks him out, saying he's unlucky and a burden to them all. Abhi is deeply hurt and broken by this. He runs out of the hospital with tears in his eyes and Rohan follows suit. He hugs Abhi tightly and assures him that everything is going to be alright. The next day, Abhi gets informed that his grandma is out of danger but still quite critical. Just as the doctor leaves, Abhi sees Shania standing in front of him with gifts and flowers in her hand. She apologizes to Abhi for hurting his feelings and asks if he's okay. Abhi tells her that he is. Shania nods and offers to accompany him while visiting his grandmother, but Abhi just laughs at her since she's wearing really short clothes. Shania retorts by saying that she doesn't have any modest clothes but will be buying them soon. She confesses that she wants to meet him and his grandma every day. Abhi is touched by this and agrees. She hands him the gifts and flowers and walks away. Because of this, all of Abhi's previous feelings come rushing back. He starts falling for Shania all over again, and this time, he can't even control it. Even Shania has started to like Abhi a little bit. A love triangle starts between the 3 of them. Rohan and Shania love each other, but Abhi can't help falling for Shania harder than ever before. This makes Shania question if she really loves Rohan or not. Abhi pretends to be happy for the 2 of them, but Shania sees through him. She realizes how much Abhi loves her. Shania even changes into some modest clothes to visit Abhi's grandma, which stuns both Rohan and Abhi. They can't help but stare at her. Shania comes to take care of Abhi's grandma every single day and supports him through it all. The hospital visits make Abhi, Rohan, and Shania closer than ever before. Every day, Shania watches Abhi become vulnerable. This overcomes her grief and she starts falling for Abhi as well. She tries to ignore the feeling, but it seeps through anyway. She makes sure she's there for Abhi if he ever needs a shoulder to cry on. After a couple of days, Abhi's grandma gets a little better, but the doctors say that she's still critical. His grandma tells him her last wishes in case she doesn't make it, which causes Abhi to tear up. They try to have a brief conversation but start sobbing, as they both know she has limited time now. Shania watches this whole ordeal through the door and cries. Her feelings for Abhi become deeper. Ultimately, Abhi's grandma dies and he's devastated. He's broken and doesn't talk to anyone anymore. One day, as Abhi is packing up his stuff to go home for the weekend, Shania comes up to him. She tries to console him, but he just snaps at her. Shania doesn't give up and says that she's there to be a friend to him. This makes Abhi furious and he asks her to leave. She is about to walk out of his room when she notices that he still has her earring from the wedding. She jokes about it and he smiles. Shania eventually hugs him tightly to make him feel better and less lonely. At that moment, both of them realize how much they love each other. One thing leads to another and they end up kissing. What they don't realize is that Rohan is right behind them. He watches Abhi and Shania make out. His whole world comes crashing down, and that's when Shania and Abhi notice him standing right there. Rohan storms out and Shania runs after him. She begs for forgiveness, but he just pushes her away. Even Abhi apologizes and says that it all happened in the heat of the moment, and that he had no intention to do such a thing. But Rohan doesn't listen to them at all. He insults Abhi and even goes on to say that he's actually unlucky. Rohan tells Abhi that this is why his whole family died, and Abhi loses it. The two of them get into a huge fight. Rohan and Abhi both hit each other brutally and throw insults at one another. Rohan calls him useless and jealous while Abhi calls him a disgrace. He tells Rohan that he doesn't even deserve Shania since he always flirts with other girls. Rohan screams at him, saying that Abhi has no say in what happens between him and Shania. They start shouting and hitting each other while claiming Shania to be theirs. This makes her furious since she's not a commodity to claim or buy. She stops both of them and cries incessantly. Shania complains that none of them ever tried to ask her how she felt, and that she's not a trophy to be won. She finally says that she's done with both of them and walks away while sobbing. Rohan and Abhi part ways as well. Afterwards, Rohan returns home while bleeding. His mother is extremely worried, but he just brushes her off. Ashok stops Rohan and yells at him for acting like a gangster and beating people up. This causes a huge falling out between Rohan and Ashok. Rohan finally expresses all his pent-up rage and frustration toward his father. He asks what he has done to get so much hatred. Ashok yells at him, saying that Rohan is nowhere as capable as Ajay, and that he has no talent at all. He's ashamed to have a son who isn't the same as him. Things get heated and Ashok slaps Rohan. This incident breaks Rohan and he walks out of the house, promising to never look back. His sole aim becomes to win the Student of the Year trophy. At school, he runs into Abhi and promises that he'll snatch the trophy from Abhi's hands. From then on, they become sworn enemies and the true competition begins. The dance competition gets nearer and nearer, so all the participants start exercising and practicing their steps. The whole friend group splits and everyone focuses only on the trophy. None of them value their friendship anymore. Shania is confused about her feelings and she has no one to talk to anymore. That's when Shruti comes to her and asks her to give Abhi a chance. She tells Shania that she only forced herself to be with Rohan and that she actually loves Abhi. Shruti even requests her to take Abhi as her partner to the dance competition. Finally, Shania decides to think about it and do exactly what her heart desires. As she's talking about her feelings, Shania confesses that this competition has made everything complicated. Shruti takes this opportunity to convince Shania to quit. Shania realizes this quickly and decides to test Shruti. She declares that she'll quit and Shruti becomes incredibly happy. This makes Shania really angry since all Shruti wants to do is eliminate her competition. She doesn't care about her feelings at all. Shania doesn't say anything and pretends everything is alright, while already planning on what to do. Shruti thinks now that Shania is out, she is closer to the trophy and asks Jeet to be her partner. That's when Jeet tells her that Shania has already asked him to be her partner. Shruti is shocked and angry. She runs to Shania and confronts her for lying. But instead, Shania tells her that she already knew what Shruti wanted to do. Shruti gets extremely embarrassed and runs out of the room only to find Abhi in front of her. She pretends as if she's angry so that she can get Abhi to be her partner by manipulating him. She provokes him by saying that Shania is now crushing on Jeet and that she only used him. Abhi is angry after hearing Shruti's lies and they become partners in the competition. On the other hand, Pseudo can't find anyone and begs Jeet to find him a partner. Just then, Rohan comes and threatens Jeet for agreeing to be Shania's partner. He insults him, but Jeet has had enough. He refuses to do so and their friendship also goes down the drain. Rohan is distressed because he's completely alone. Tanya uses this to seduce him and asks him to be her partner instead. Rohan is angry at everyone, so he says yes. Finally, the day of the competition arrives. Pseudo takes Dimpy as his partner and all the contestants start dancing. It's almost like a party and everyone is exhilarated. They all do their best. Rohan and Abhi constantly try to outshine one another, while Shruti tries to sabotage Shania and Tanya. The dance performance is over and only 8 students remain. Shania gets extremely flustered after running into both Abhi and Rohan, and runs out off the stage. Tanya, Pseudo, and Shania all get eliminated. Pseudo is devastated and angry at this. He's lost everything and cries backstage. Meanwhile, Shruti, Rohan, Jeet, and Abhi make it to the final stage, which is the triathlon. At school, Abhi runs into Ashok Nanda. Ashok tells him to win the trophy since he wants Rohan to lose anyhow. He adds that he's proud of Abhi and wants to work with him. Abhi is startled by the hate Ashok has towards Rohan but doesn't say anything. His ego is so big that he'd rather see his son fail than accept his music career. The day of the triathlon finally arrives and it consists of 3 parts, which are swimming, cycling, and then running. All 8 athletes warm up for the first part. The coach shoots a gun and all of them leap into the water. The competition is very tough but Shruti manages to win the round. The cycling begins immediately after. Rohan, Abhi, Jeet, and Shruti are neck to neck at this point and can do anything to win. Amidst all this, Jeet pushes Shruti off the cycling track, disqualifying her. Abhi and Rohan try to one-up each other but eventually, Rohan wins the round and immediately starts running toward the end goal. Abhi follows soon after. It is clear that either Rohan or Abhi is going to win the trophy. As Rohan is ahead, Ashok is disappointed but as soon as Abhi outruns him, he starts cheering. Soon enough, Rohan gains speed and ultimately wins the competition. His mother is incredibly happy but Ashok is devastated. Rohan himself is shocked to have won the competition. Meanwhile, Abhi leaves the racetrack, upset at his loss. On the day of the announcement, everyone cheers for Rohan. Pseudo is completely wasted because of his loss as well. Dean Vashistha declares Rohan the winner and calls for him to collect the trophy, but something unimaginable happens. Rohan goes to the stage but refuses to take the trophy. He simply walks out. That's when he is stopped by Pseudo. Pseudo claps sarcastically and the dean berates him for such crass behavior. He's drunk and has no sense of what he's saying. In that drunken state, Pseudo confesses how the competition is a stupid idea. He continues by saying that the rules aren't fair to people like him, and this is all because of the dean. Pseudo goes on to insult Dean and blames him for breaking such deep friendships and relationships. He accuses the dean of pitting friends against one another and turning them into sworn enemies. At the end, Pseudo calls out Dean Vashistha for being a lonely, miserable man who likes to torture students and destroys their mental health for his entertainment. After his speech, he walks out of the assembly. But this leaves a lasting impact on Dean Vashistha. He realizes what he had done and finds himself guilty for everyone's falling out. He resigns from school and lives a very lonely life alone. After 10 years, Dean Vashistha gets really sick, so he calls for all the competitors to apologize to them since he might die anytime soon. We're back in the present. Abhi finally arrives at the hospital. He's a very rich business magnate, and with him is Shania. They're happily married now. Abhi and Shania reach the hospital and greet everyone except Rohan. Rohan just stares at them without saying a word. Shania and Shruti meet and Shruti apologizes to Shania for all that she'd done. Shania instantly forgives her and they start chatting happily. Shania feels guilty and goes to talk to Rohan. They talk about their lives and Shania apologizes for hurting him. She asks him to talk to Abhi but he refuses. Afterwards, she goes to Abhi and asks him to talk, but Abhi refuses as well. Shania tries to get Abhi to stop acting childish, but he asks her to stop vouching for her ex. This angers Shania and Abhi tells her that he didn't like her speaking to Rohan. They get into an argument and that's when Rohan steps in. He insults Abhi once more and starts flirting with Shania. Abhi loses it and once again, they start fighting. They hit one another while yelling obscenities. Shania tries to stop them but fails miserably. She asks others to help her but Shruti asks her to let it be. They needed to get their anger out. Abhi finally asks him why he's so angry, and that's when Rohan confesses the true reason for his rage. On the day of the competition, it was Abhi who was supposed to win the trophy, but he deliberately let Rohan win. Rohan is enraged thinking Abhi let him win out of pity and guilt. He asks Abhi why'd he do that. Abhi finally loses it and admits that it was because of Ashok. He saw how happy and excited Ashok was to see his own son losing. This disgusted Abhi. He couldn't fathom how a father could hate his own child so much, so he decided to let Rohan win. Now his aim was to defeat Ashok instead of winning the trophy. As he let Rohan win, he saw Ashok's defeated face and that was enough of a victory for him. Rohan listens to it all and then punches Abhi saying that he didn't need that favor, and Abhi punches him back. All along, Rohan never truly loved Shania. He wasn't angry at Abhi for kissing her either. He was jealous of Abhi for being everything he couldn't. Slowly but surely, Abhi had gained the love Rohan had always craved from Ashok and Shania. He was scared of losing everyone because of Abhi. He didn't want Abhi taking his place. Rohan finally confesses all this and Abhi understands him. The air around them is lightened. Both Rohan and Abhi feel guilty for their childishness. They tease and mock each other's successes since they're both pretty famous now and laugh. They let go of all their anger of the past and decide to become best friends again. At the end, they hug each other and everyone cheers for them. They forgive one another for all the mistakes of the past. Just then, Coach Shah comes and tells them all that the dean wants to see them. He doesn't have much time left, so they all rush to visit him. Dean Vashistha is happy to see all of his students and profusely apologizes for his mistakes. Everyone there gets teary-eyed while seeing him cry. Pseudo feels immensely guilty for putting Dean through all this and sobs. The Dean finally looks at the coach and professes his love for him even though it was unrequited. Soon enough, the Dean bids goodbye to them all and draws his last breath. Afterwards, Abhi and Rohan go back to St. Teresa. They arrive at the racetrack and decide to compete once more. And this time they'd make sure to determine who would actually have won the competition if the emotions had not taken over. This time they promise to let go of the rivalry and run. They take off with smiles and giggles, as they are best friends once more. The movie ends with them promising each other a lifelong friendship.